All right, so as we continue to talk about the topic of arrays, we're going to come across something called array destructuring, okay? So if you go to MDN, and I'm going to link this in the description, you have the destructuring assignment. So basically the destructuring assignment syntax is a JavaScript expression that makes it possible to unpack values from arrays or properties from objects into distinct variables, okay? So there's some examples on this page. We're not ready to cover all of them yet. So I'm going to start off with my own simple example. I'm just going to make an array with some colors. So let's say I do const colors, and I'll set this equal to, let's maybe do like 5 colors. Let's do something like yellow. Let's maybe do blue. Let's do maybe green, and then we can do red, and then, I don't know, let's do maybe purple. Okay, you can use your own colors, doesn't matter. So we know at this point that if we want to access the first element from this colors array, we would use colors with square brackets with 0 inside. If we wanted the second one, we would use colors with the square brackets with 1 inside, so on and so forth. So let's say that I wanted to store the value of yellow, or the first element from this colors array, into a variable. Let's say I did something like const C1 for color 1 or colors 1, whatever you want to think about that. I could do colors with square brackets in 0, okay? So JavaScript is going to retrieve this guy right here, which is basically yellow, okay? It's colors with the index of 0, and it's then going to store that in C1, okay? So if I go through here and I console.log the C1, let's pop this open and run this, we just get yellow, okay, as expected. Now you could copy this and paste it a few times, okay? And let's paste it one more time because we have 5. So let's go through and put 2, let's put 3, let's put 4, and let's put 5. And you can see already how annoying this is. Let's say you get hundreds of these. Let's say you go 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4, okay? So let's go ahead and go C1, C2, C3, C4, and C5. We're going to see that basically it's gone through and grabbed each individual guy here, each element, and stored it as a variable, right? So C1 is going to hold yellow, and then C2 is going to hold blue, C3 is going to hold green, C4 is going to hold red, and C5 is going to hold purple, right? So if we console.log, we're just going to see those values. So let's go ahead and clear this and run this. So we get yellow, blue, green, red, and purple, as expected. Now, there is a much easier way to do this. So let's wipe this, and let's go ahead and type const. And I'm going to put some square brackets here. This is not an array. Basically, when you see the square brackets in this situation, JavaScript's going to know that basically it's the destructuring assignment. It's not an array, okay? So I'm going to put my variable names in here. So I'm going to put C1, C2, C3, C4, and C5. And then all I need to do is basically use my assignment operator and then the name of the array. So basically I want to put colors in there. So it's going to know that it wants to unpack this guy, and it's going to take all of the elements from colors, okay, one by one, and it's going to store them in these variables. So in other words, it starts with this one, and it's since in the first position, it's going to match it up with this one in the first position. Then this one, first position here, first position here, so on and so forth. So yellow will be stored in C1, blue will be stored in C2, green will be stored in C3. If I do my console.log again, and I clear this and run this, you see there's no change, right? So just a faster way to do the same thing. Now we've already seen, if I come down here, let me console.log, something like, let's say I had to go colors. Since there's 5 of these guys, if I put 5 itself, then this is going to be undefined, right? Because this would refer to the 6th element, and we only have 5. So if I pop this open and clear this and run this, you get undefined, right? That's coming from this part right here. Now, let's say that I got rid of this, and let's say I put C6 in here, so C6, and let's say I put C6 here. What do you think is going to happen? Well, the problem is as JavaScript goes through and tries to match things up, you don't have a 6th element. So this guy right here is just going to be undefined like we just saw, right? So if I pop this open and clear this and run this, you see you get the yellow, blue, green, red, purple, and then undefined. Now you can adjust this, and I'll talk more about this later on. You can set a default value. Let's say I just put 1 there, okay? So in this case, because there's nothing to overwrite that, it's just going to be 1. So if we clear this and we run this, now we get the 1 there. Now let's say I got rid of this altogether, and let's say I set C5 equal to 1. Well, because there's a value there that I can match up, because there's the purple there as the 5th guy, well, basically it's going to overwrite this 1 and it's going to put purple. So if I pop this open and clear this and run this, you get your purple there. If I was to delete this element, okay, now it would go to 1 because there's nothing to match up with it anymore, right? So now you get the 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and undo that and put that back to purple. and let's get rid of this. Now, in some cases, you're going to want to skip some elements, okay? So let's just say that I wanted the first guy and maybe the third guy, and that's all I want. So what I can do if I want to skip something, just delete this, okay? You can leave a space or you can not leave a space. I like to leave a little space to remind myself that, hey, I'm skipping something. So basically it's taking the first guy and putting it in here. So the first element is yellow, goes in C1. I've skipped it. So I've skipped blue. Okay, it's going to skip the second guy. And now this is going to be C3. That's going to be green. Okay, you can even change this to, let's say, C2 to make that more apparent. So let's get rid of all the rest of these and let's go ahead and get rid of all the rest of these. Okay, so what you're going to get here is yellow. Okay, you're going to skip blue and then you're going to get green. So you get yellow and green. So let's pop this open and let's clear this and let's run this. You get yellow and green. If you wanted to skip another one, okay, so you'd put a comma there and then you're skipping something. So you're going to put another comma. So now I'm skipping red and I'm going to go to purple. So let's go C3 here. So let's put a comma here and put C3. So now I'm going to get yellow. I'm going to get green because we skipped blue, and then I'm going to get purple. So let's pop this open and let's clear this and run this. We get yellow, green, and purple as expected. Now you could also skip the first one if you wanted to. So let's go ahead and get rid of this one, okay? And let's go ahead and get rid of this right here. Let's pop this open and clear this, and let's run this. And now you just get green and purple because, again, we've skipped the first one. There's nothing here, right? So we skip that. Then we skip the second one, right? We skip that. So we go to C2, that's going to be green. Then we skip one, so we skip red, and then C3 ends up being purple. So that's how we ended up with just green as C2 and purple as C3. Okay, let me show you one other thing. So let's go back to C1, C2, C3, C4, and C5. In some cases, you just want to grab one of the guys, okay? And then the rest you want to put into maybe another array. So let's go ahead and just put C1, okay, which is going to grab yellow. And then I'm going to put these 3 dots here in front of the C2. I'll talk more about what this does later on. We need a specific video for this. But basically what's going to happen is it's going to grab yellow and it's going to store it in C1. And then this guy, what it's going to do is going to take the rest of them, okay, the rest of the elements, and it's going to make an array for you. Okay, so I'm going to put C1 and then C2. Let's pop this open and clear this and run this. So you see you get yellow and then you get an array with all those elements that were left over. So the blue, the green, the red, and the purple. Okay, let's wipe this out and start with a fresh example. So I'm going to show you here how to work with a nested array. So the syntax you use is going to be really important here. So let's say I do something like const numbers, and I'm going to set this equal to, let's go 1, 2, 3, and then let's have an array here with 4 and 5, and then let's just do 6, okay? So if I did something like, let's say const, let's put my square brackets here, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and number 6, because there's 6 numbers, you're going to have an issue, right? So this right here would match up, this right here would match up, this right here would match up. But when you get to number 4, it's basically going to take this whole thing, right? So it's going to be storing the whole array in there. Then number 5 is going to represent this, and number 6 would be undefined, right? So if we go through in console.log, all of these guys, let's go ahead and put this in here like this. Let's grab this, paste this in. And let's go ahead and look at this. So we'll clear this and run this. And it says missing initializer. So that means I missed something. And of course, I did not set this equal to the numbers. Okay. So let's go ahead and pop this back open and clear this and run this. So now you get exactly what I said. So you get 1, 2, and 3. So this is number 1. This is number 2, number 3. Then number 4 is this entire array. Number 5 is 6. And then number 6 is going to be undefined. So the way we fix this is basically you match the syntax that you have, right? So what I want to do is number 1, number 2, and number 3, that's fine. But I'm going to wrap these guys with square brackets to match what I'm getting here, okay? So you're basically doing the destructuring inside the destructuring. So you have the number 4 will now be this 4 here. It's the first element inside that array. The number 5 will now be 5 here. And then the number 6 will be 6, okay? So you have to match things up with the way they're given. So if I pop this open now and clear this and run this, you'll see it's fixed, right? So we have the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 6 as we wanted. So let's go ahead and wipe this out. All right, so another thing you can do with the destructuring, you can use it to switch the values that's held in variables. This is pretty common. So let's say I started with 2 strings. So let's say let my string 1 equal something like cheese, okay, for example. And then let's go let my string 2 equal, let's say butter, okay? So let's say I wanted to basically put butter in my string 1 and put cheese in my string 2. How could we do this normally without using destructuring? Well, you would need a temporary variable to hold one of them, because if you try to switch the values, basically they're both going to be the same. Okay. So if I did something like, let's say myString2 is equal to myString1, well, if I console.log the myString1 and the myString2, and I didn't capitalize this S here, so that's going to give me an error. Basically, what's going to happen here, since I told JavaScript that myString2 should be set equal to the value from myString1, well, myString2 is not going to be butter anymore. It's going to be cheese, and myString1 didn't change. It's still cheese, right? So you're going to get cheese twice. So if I pop this open and clear this, and let's run this, you get cheese twice, okay? So the way to do this the old-fashioned way would be to do something like, let's let a const temp, a temp variable, basically be equal to myString2, okay? Then I can switch the value of myString2 to myString1, right? So now they're both cheese, okay? And then since I want myString1 to be butter, I can then say myString1 is equal to temp, okay, and I'm done. So now what's going to happen is it's going to switch. So myString1 is now going to be butter, so you'll see that first, and myString2 is going to be cheese. So if we pop this open and clear this and run this, we get butter and then cheese, right? So we've reversed these guys. Now, what's the easier way to do this? Well, let's go ahead and wipe all this. And basically, I'm going to put my square brackets here, and I'm going to start with myString1, and then I'm going to put a comma, and then myString2, and I'm going to set this equal to, over here on the right-hand side, I'm just going to flip the order. So I'm going to go myString2, comma, myString1, okay? So what's going to happen here is, first JavaScript's going to say, what's the value held in here? Well, it's butter, so it's going to assign that to myString1. Then it's going to say, what's the value held in here? Well, it's cheese, so it's going to assign that to myString2, okay? So if we pop this open and clear this and we run this, you get butter and cheese as expected. So just a quicker way to do something. Okay, so let me give you another example here. I'm just going to paste this in, and I'll put this in the description so you don't have to worry about trying to pause the video and copy it. But basically, we have a little object here, and inside the object, we have a key here of groceries, and the value is basically an array, and it's got basically nested arrays here, right? So we have milk, which is $5, bread, which is $1, you know, so on and so forth. Generally, we also have the general items here where you have cleaner, you have towels. It's got the item and the price, okay? So we've got that in there. Then we have a little method where basically it's purchase items. So we're basically going to pass in the grocery index. So this is the number, okay? And then the general index. So basically the number of what you want to buy. If you wanted to buy milk, you would pass in 0. If you wanted to buy bread, you would pass in 1, you know, so on and so forth. So we're going to return this array here, okay, which basically is going to have what we bought and the price, right, for the groceries and for the general items. So the idea here is that it's coming back as an array, and we can destructure that, okay, and get the values stored into some variables. So let's just go ahead and do something like const. I'm going to call this my order, okay, so this is going to be an array. It's equal to myStore, okay, which is the name of the object up here, okay, and then I'm going to go dot, and I want the name of the method, which is going to be purchaseItems. So purchaseItems. And then I need to pass in what I want to buy. So basically, I'm looking at the index. So let's say, for example, I wanted to buy, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say I wanted to buy some steak. So I'd put 6 in, okay? So that's 6 there, okay? And then I also want to buy from the general items list. Let's say I want to get towels. So this is 0, okay, and this is 1. So I'm going to pass in a 1 there, okay? So let's put a 1 there. And just to make sure no one's confused, if we come back up here again, if I pass in a 6 here and I pass in a 1 here, basically it goes to the groceries guy, okay? And it's looking for, I passed in a 6 here, so groceries with 6. Again, it's just going to give me this array back. So I would have steak and 10, okay, as an array. And then for the other one, I'm passing in a 1 here. So it's going to general items. It's going to get this one with towels and 6, okay? So basically, let's just quickly console.log. So console.log, this my order. And we're just going to see a nested array. So let's pop this open and clear this. And let's run this. And so basically what we want to do is grab the value from this and this and this and this and unpack it, right? So put it in some variables so we can use it. So let's come down here. And basically, let me get rid of this real quick. We don't need it. So I'm just going to go const. Let's say we call this item 1, price 1, and then item 2, and then price 2. Now there's a problem here because again, we have a nested array, so we have to match up the syntax, right? So we know that the array would have this guy wrapped, okay? And then you would have this guy wrapped. So again, you just want to match the syntax that you're given, okay? So this right now, I'll set this equal to the my order, and that's basically going to give us item 1 of steak with price 1 of 10 for $10, and then item 2 is going to be towels with price 2 of 6 for $6, okay? So if we wanted to, we could make a nice little sentence from this. Let's go ahead and console.log. I'll use some backticks. Your item of $ curly braces, we'll do the item 1. We'll say from grocery costs, and we'll put $2 signs here, and we'll do price 1. And then maybe do like a new line. I don't know. We'll say your item of, and we'll put the item 2, okay, from general. And we'll just say costs. We'll do $2 signs, and we'll do price 2, okay? That's all we need to do. So let's go ahead and pop this open and clear this and run this. And we get your item of steak from grocery costs $10. And then your item of towels from general costs $6. And we could clean up the grammar there. It's not really that important. But basically, if we go back here, let's say we change this up. Let's say we put this to, I don't know, 0. And let's say we put this to 3. So if we come back up here, so 0 would correspond to this array here with milk and 5 for $5. And then the 3, if we go to general, this is 0, 1, 2, 3. So it will be pans with 12, okay? So if we pop this open now and we clear this and we run this, we get your item of milk from grocery cost $5, and then your item of pans from general cost $12.